Hello, everyone. We'll now begin Legislative Day number 16. We'll now come to order. For everybody, rise for a moment of silent meditation. Thank you very much. I'll now call upon Councilman Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have some very special guests from Boy Scout Troop 372 out of Back River United Methodist Church, and these young men are going to come up and lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the journal for the meetings of September the 17th?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The journal is approved. Enrollment of bills. Mr. Secretary?
There are no bills for enrollment this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Secretary, will you read all the bills for introduction?
Bill 77-18, Retirement System Administrative Procedure. Bill 78-18, Retirement System Benefit Determination Issues. Bill 79-18, General Obligation Bonds. Bill 80-18, Residential Permit Parking. Bill 81-18, Zoning Regulations, Storage Yards. And Bill 82-18, Parking.
Okay, we'll start off with we'll move along with page 1.
Next item
Chief.
is Bill 65-18, Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award Bariatric Medic Units.
Yes, Chief Price.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council.
Good evening, Chief.
The administration is requesting a supplemental appropriation of federal funds totaling $681,819 to the FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award Bariatric Medic Units Gifts and Grants Fund program. The funds will be used to purchase 3 replacement bariatric medic units, which will be outfitted with specialized equipment to meet the needs of the morbidly obese population.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions or comments by the members? Yes, sir.
Just since I have you, totally unrelated, sometime I'd like to get with you and Mr. Holm and talk about Lansdowne Volunteer Station.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Any additional questions or comments? None. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 65-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Katz?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Bill 65-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Bill
Next bill.
66-18, sponsored by Councilman Marks. Zoning regulations, the Honeygo area, panhandle lots.
Mr. Marks?
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, this bill pertains only to the Honeygo area of northeastern Perry Hall. Current law does not permit panhandle lots in the Honeygo area except for the area east of Honeygo Boulevard south of Joppa Road, west of Cowington Avenue, and north of Interstate 95. This bill adds the area east of Cowington Avenue, south of Joppa Road, and north of Panorama Drive to the exception of where panhandle lots are permitted.
Any questions by any of the members? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve Bill 66-18?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call a roll on Bill 66-18.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it, Bill 66-18 is passed. Next item, Mr. Secretary.
Bill 67-18 is sponsored by Council Members Marks and Catch, regulation of park activities.
Mr. Katz, you want to go first?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
This is, I consider, a very important piece of legislation. We all know that Baltimore County has many parks, and these parks are very precious to the people of our county, and these parks are places where we don't allow damage or permanent damage to take place. We all know about the incident at Oregon Ridge where a nonprofit group, got permission to paint trees. They painted them with acrylic paint, which is harmful to the trees. And what this bill does, it simply states that before any group can do anything like that in a county park, what they're proposing must benefit the wildlife, must benefit the trees, the shrubs, whatever's in the park. Now you might ask, okay, we had one incident, why are we putting this legislation in? Well, this legislation is in because I'm sure that the current administration that has 2 months left, they'll never let this happen again. I'm sure of that. But however, in the future, we're going to have new administrations, and this law needs to be in place so that this can never happen again. And so that's why this particular bill is so very important to the people of Baltimore County.
Councilman Marks?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. To elaborate on the comments I made in the work session, this was a key recommendation of the Commission on Environmental Quality, which is a county chartered body that was established, I think, more than a decade ago. I think that these advisory commissions are very important. The members of these commissions are often subject matter experts. They have knowledge in disciplines that's far more elaborate than we have. And anytime a citizen commission makes a recommendation, I think we should seriously consider it. Doesn't mean we automatically have to embrace every recommendation, but I think it deserves some serious consideration, and certainly that's a key reason why I'm supporting this legislation.
Okay. Is there an amendment to this legislation?
There's an amendment in your books, Mr. Chairman. It's sponsored by Councilman Marks, and it would simply insert the word harass on page 2, line 7. It's a fairly technical amendment.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I would just,
Councilman Bevins?
thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to add, I was supposed to be a co-sponsor on this bill. Mr. Pettigrew. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just say, this Bill 67-18 in no way takes away from what the Nikki Perlow Foundation was trying to do. I mean, everybody definitely, rallies in support of helping people recover from drug and alcohol addiction. And, but I do think the Commission for Environmental Quality does great work. I know my local representative, Al Androsopoulos, spends a lot of time working with Commission members, trying to be an advisory group for the council. So I did want to also recognize the good work that this commission does every month, meeting and discussing issues and trying to help the county. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Before we vote on the amendment, I will,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
point of personal privilege, please.
Absolutely.
I'd like to acknowledge some folks that are here with us tonight. Not only is my appointee to the Animal Services Commission here tonight, but wanted to introduce you, if you haven't heard of this organization called the Back River Restoration Committee, where we have the president of the Back River Restoration Committee and the executive director. Sam Weaver is the president. Karen Wynn is the executive director. That organization has taken out, I believe it's about 3 million pounds of trash out of the Back River watershed that gets into the Chesapeake Bay. So they should be commended for that. And Karen is here in her capacity as the 7th District's appointee to the CEQ. And I want to thank her and her colleagues on that commission for their efforts, not only on this particular issue, but on many other issues, environmental issues facing Baltimore County. So thank you for coming up tonight.
Councilwoman Bennett?
Mr. Chair, I think we should acknowledge anyone that's from the commission here this evening.
Absolutely.
Would you
With-
stand
with-
if
with
you're here
all
with the
our-
commission?
Lois Jacobs is mine. Lois?
Our commission members, please stand
Yes.
for environmental quality.
For environmental quality.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you for your
service.
service.
And let me just say that I will be voting against the bill this evening. It has nothing to do with the hard work that you do, because I certainly appreciate it. It's just that personally, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's another bill that'll be on the books, basically telling one department head what to do when that department head already did what we're asking them to do, which was consult someone else. And at the end of the day, we all would agree there was a poor decision and we're not going to do it again. I just don't think that that's the reason that this body should come up with some legislation to say, make sure you talk to this person. You know, I guess think it's a waste, and I think we're going down a road where every time someone has an issue, we're going to fix it through legislation, and I just don't think that's the duty of this body. On that note, barring any other comments, we will take a vote on the amendment.
The motion on the amendment, Mr. Chairman.
So
Then-
moved.
Then the motion has been moved, the motion has been seconded. As I understand it, the motion on the amendment is to replace the word molest with harass. Is
That's
that
it.
correct?
Yes.
Technically, harass and molest in the dictionary is pretty much the same.
They are pretty much the same.
definition.
They are pretty much the same, Mr. Chairman. You're correct.
But if all you think of is sexual things, then you think molest is a bad word.
The word molest nowadays, I think, is oftentimes, more often used in connection with a sexual assault, but it has a broader meaning than that, yes.
Absolutely. So it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the amendments.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Nay.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
No.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The amendment to Bill 67-18 is passed. Any more comments before I ask for a motion for the vote? No additional comments? Is there a motion to approve Bill 67-18?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 67-18.
Yes, this is the bill as amended. Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Nay.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, let me,
Yeah.
the ayes have it, Bill 67-18 as amended is passed.
Yeah,
Councilman
I just
Katz?
want to explain my vote on the amendment. I was under the impression we were adding the word harass. I didn't realize we were taking out molest. They should both be there.
The introductory bill
Which
had,
is why
the
I-
introductory bill had amended out the word molest.
Okay.
Mr. Marks,
Okay.
Councilman Marks requested that the word harass then be
Okay.
added as an amendment.
Okay.
The council will now consider all fiscal matters. Extensive testimony was taken at the council's work session on September 25th. The witnesses who testified at the work session are available to restate their testimony to the council if needed. Mr. Secretary, please read fiscal matters 1 through 4.
Fiscal Matter 1 is a contract with Marlen Environmental Incorporated. Fiscal Matter 2 consists of 2 contracts for rural reforestation services. Fiscal Matter 3 consists of 3 contracts for professional architectural and engineering services. And Fiscal Matter 4 is a contract of sale with Phyllis and Dexter Vaughn.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, if I could, just as I did in the work session, on fiscal matter 4, I did want to thank Amy Grassi, with her department and the administration. Obviously, we've had significant flooding, twice in the last 2 years, and the fiscal matter 4 in particular is helping to acquire repetitively flooded property, and actually several others coming soon, taking some of these properties that are basically in floodplains and trying to remove them from the issue. So just want to thank again the administration, in particular Amy, for all her work in this project. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Quirk.
And I'll move fiscal matters 1 through 4.
Okay.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any additional discussion on fiscal matters 1 through 4? Anybody need any more testimony? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on fiscal matters 1 through 4.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Fiscal matters 1 through 4 is approved. We'll now consider all miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item, please.
I have a notification from the Director of Budget and Finance regarding the awarding of contracts over $25,000 by a process other than formal competitive bid. Those contracts are required to be announced at the Council's legislative session. And there are 3 contracts this evening. Axon Enterprise Incorporated, $133,280. TPG Pressure Incorporated, $33,945. And the Image Center, $48,449.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Secretary.
Resolution 97-18 is sponsored by Councilman Marks. This is a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from William Groves Jr., who is a disabled veteran.
It's my honor to move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 97-18.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk? Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 97-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 100-18 is sponsored by Councilman Catch. This is a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from Alan Noger, who is a disabled veteran.
It's my honor to move the resolution.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 100-18.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 100-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 101-18 is sponsored by Councilman Jones, a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from Philip Al Mateen, who is a disabled veteran.
I'll move that resolution.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 101-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 101-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 102-18 is sponsored by Councilman Jones, resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from Carla D. Stevenson, who is a disabled veteran.
I move the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 102-18.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Ayes have it. Resolution 102-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 103-18 is sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins, a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from William D. Smith Jr., a disabled veteran.
It's my privilege to move it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 103-18.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 103-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 104-18 is also sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins, a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from Elmer English, a disabled veteran.
I'm honored to move it.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 104-18.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Ayes have it. Resolution 104-18 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 105-18 is sponsored by Councilman Marks, a resolution to approve the refund of taxes collected from Martino Gunn, a disabled veteran.
It's my honor to move it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 105-18.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Allman?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Ayes have it. Resolution 105-18 is approved. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 106-18 is sponsored by Councilman Marks. This is a resolution of the council requesting the planning board to review the laws applicable to the loading and unloading of freight along streets in the downtown Towson district. This is for introduction only this evening.
Next item, Mr. Secretary.
Resolution 107-18 is also sponsored by Councilman Marks. This is a resolution to approve an amendment to a previously approved resolution permitting the review of a planned unit development, also for introduction this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is there any further business to come before the council?
There is no further business, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. As is customary, anyone who has signed up prior to the meeting with the secretary is allowed 3 minutes to speak. The secretary, are there any speakers? And the
There are 10 speakers, Mr. Chairman.
10 speakers? Okay, so what I will do, I will call each speaker up. Please be respectful of the time and other people's time and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. So, on that note, I'll call up this Janice Vincent.
Good evening.
Ms. Vincent.
My name is Janice Vincent, and I was appointed to the Baltimore County Animal Services Commission at its inception in the summer of 2015 by Councilwoman Kathy Bevins to represent the 6th District. It continues to be an honor to serve on this commission. We still have some original appointees, and throughout the years, our group has been enhanced by new members. Our group remains enthusiastic. Had we been charged with focusing on the elderly, the disabled, the homeless, or a myriad of other needs in the county, I know we would be just as determined. But we were established to advise the county council and county executive on issues related to the Animal Services Division, and we remain dedicated. This year, I'm particularly excited with the extension of the hours of the shelter to include weekends, which will allow more Baltimore County residents the opportunity to visit and adopt, and the establishment of the Animal Abuse Unit. Members from this new unit, the Animal Abuse Unit, have attended 2 of our meetings, and I found them to be extremely professional, dedicated, and looking forward to their new endeavors. Over the summer, we learned that it appears that the existing Animal Control Group has transferred almost all of its duties to the new Animal Abuse Unit. I found this extremely disheartening, as I believe the Animal Abuse Unit to be an enhancement to the existing operations. A new unit that would have both the time and knowledge to focus on perceived animal abuse cases and work closely with the state's attorney's office to identify and assist with those cases that may or would require legal ramifications. At our most recent meeting in September, a young woman who is a resident of the Woodlawn area presented a horrendous situation. In fact, because of her huge heart and willingness to be at help, she immediately found herself as the only person willing to take responsibility to resolve a situation. A quick overview: an elderly neighbor on death's door was taken to the hospital, leaving approximately 14 feral cats and kittens in his yard, approximately 16 cats inside the home, which was overrun with feces and urine. Numerous calls to animal control, the shelter, and 911. All were either transferred between those three areas or they took messages. Most of the calls were not returned. It took a friend mentioning her dilemma on Facebook to finally get it passed around and to the attention of one of our commission members, who has continued to offer her guidance. When she spoke with us, if you can imagine, this insanity had been going on for 6 weeks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vincent.
Sorry.
Next, Ms. Joy Freeman. Then after Ms. Freeman, with Mr. Roy Plummer, just come up and sit right here on the on-deck circle, so to speak. Good afternoon, Ms. Freeman.
Good afternoon. How are all of you? I am Joy Friedman. I've served on the Animal Advisory Commission since inception. I am David Mark's appointee. I have been involved in animal welfare personally and professionally for the better part of 25 years. The Commission's reports in 2016 and 2017 reflect the progress the shelter had made. Our primary recommendations were for more transparency and 7-day-a-week adoption hours. Our Commission represents each of you, every zip code, every tax-paying citizen of the county. We are all civic-minded volunteers. The law the County Council created in 2015 mandates our Commission to maintain a liaison with the shelter, keep the Council and public informed, advise on best practices, and issue an annual report. This evening we are doing just that. Tonight it pains me to disclose only some of what we have uncovered over the last 8 months. As part of the liaison committee, Deborah Hess, Julian Zimmer, and myself had monthly meetings at the shelter until the Oscar case, when we were shut out. Questions went unanswered. Here are some, but not all, of our findings. Number 1, for the better part of 2 years, animal control officers were forbidden from investigating animal neglect and cruelty cases. Our report documents these numbers and what was reported to the state's attorney's office under a dozen cases in 2 years, contradicting the paid for 2018 progress report that states over 4,000 were investigated. Baltimore County forces their citizens to submit a notarized affidavit before they will investigate a vicious or dangerous animal attack. If you call animal control because your dog was attacked, you, the citizen, must request an affidavit and have it notarized before it is investigated. This practice discourages citizens' complaints and leaves neighborhoods victimized by dangerous dogs. This is an unheard of practice in other cities and counties. On July 1, BCAS abdicated the majority of its animal control duties and dumped them on an already overburdened police department. This is not the Animal Abuse Unit, which is an investigatory unit. These are everyday citizen calls being handled by rank-and-file police officers with no animal control training. Numerous issues have and continue to arise because of the sudden and abrupt move. BCAS issued a 2018 progress report written by a consultant, which BCAS paid for with over $11,000 of taxpayer money. We have reason to believe this report contains inaccuracy and unverified numbers. Plus, we issue a report for free every year. Why not have the Commission issue this report? We need transparency, and we need it now. Toxic. This is how BCAS has been described to us over and over again. A condescending environment where processes and policies and concerns can't be addressed without fear of demotion, firing, transfer, or lost wages. We interviewed past and then current employees,
Please bring your
staff,
comments
et
to an end,
cetera,
Ms. Freeman.
who spoke of these practices extensively, many who involved fear coming forward. I implore you, our council members, to see past the surface, the live release numbers. We fear are coming at great cost to animal welfare. We request a full and independent
Ms.
audit
Freeman,
and investigation
thank you very much, Ms. Freeman.
while giving whistleblowers that come forward protection from retribution from them, their families, and anyone else who works in the county. Thank you for listening, and we really hope you take our report to heart.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman.
Mr. Chairman, Joy, Mr. Chairman, I asked a question.
Sure.
When was the last time that your liaison committee met at the animal shelter?
The last liaison committee meeting, which was Deborah Stone, Hess, and Julianne Zimmer and myself, was November of 2017.
And since then, there's been have you been?
Since then, Mr. Homan and Mr. Klunk came to 2 of our meetings, I believe. That was in March and April, or April and May. No, March and April. And answered a few questions. Many went unanswered. We have submitted them in writing as they were requested. We had requested to speak with Chief of Animal Services, Dr. Jones. We were denied that as well. Nobody would meet with us. Nobody would answer our questions without being submitted over and over and over again. We were shut out, Wade. We were shut out. And for us to do our job, we need transparency. It's why we were created. We were created
Absolutely.
Because the citizens of the county demanded transparency in 2015. And for 2 years, we came to you with great, what we thought, results. When we started to dig further,
Joy, I was very optimistic also.
I'm glad to hear
I mean,
that.
I saw the 2 reports, and they were very, very, as I said, optimistic. And I knew about this 3rd report coming out because Deborah Stone filled me in before it was released. I do have a question, a request of our chairman and secretary. We have council lunch on Tuesday, I believe. Is that this coming Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to have whatever department from the agency, from the police department, come to us to explain what training they've had to deal with these issues where they have been called to deal with dangerous animals and other dangerous situations. Because I can tell you that when I was in the state legislature, we had that same problem with, we would have forensic patients placed in state institutions, yet the staff was not trained on how to deal with them. This is the same thing. So you have police who aren't trained to deal with dangerous animals, a dangerous situation, realizing that, I mean, some people are actually afraid of animals.
It puts our police at great danger. They signed up to work with human complaints and not animal complaints.
Okay. And let me just say that, you know, how we treat animals really is a reflection on how we treat people. I mean, that's really the situation. So,
Wade, I really
you.
appreciate you saying that. And I know I said this, and I know Julian Jones wants Roy up here so bad, so I'm going to leave in a minute. But our report was 20 pages. Yeah. It outlines some of our findings. If we were to list everything we found, it would have been over 50 pages.
Yeah,
Just to be clear, the law does not call for a liaison committee, does it not? Does it?
The liaison committee was requested by Mr. Fred Holman as a way to communicate with the full commission, so they didn't have to come to every meeting.
Right.
So
if Mr. Holman requested the liaison committee, clearly Mr. Holman has the right not to meet with the liaison committee, isn't that correct?
well, the law that was created, which is in Article 12, subsection 24, which outlines the duties of the Animal Advisory Commission, states that the Animal Advisory Commission must maintain a liaison with the shelter. So if the shelter doesn't communicate with us, we can't fulfill our obligation under the law that was created.
doesn't say you have to have a liaison committee.
We need to have answers to our questions, or they need to be present at our commission meetings. Because otherwise, how are we to report to you or the citizens we represent?
Thank you, Ms. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Joy, thank you
Mr.
for your service.
Mr. Roy Plummer. And next, Ms. Marianne Bailey, please make your way. Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Vicki. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So, hello. My name is Roy Plummer. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I've been on the Animal Services Advisory Commission pretty much since the beginning. I was appointed by Todd Crandall, and I thank you, Todd, for that. Hope everybody's had a chance to read our annual report. To be honest with you, I'm not as knowledgeable about some of the technicalities in the report as some of my commission members are. They're more into the law and things, but I've been in the animal care field since 1972, first as a kennel assistant at the old Eastern Animal Hospital, and then as a veterinary assistant at various hospitals, and most recently 15 years at Banfield Animal Hospital. There's a lot of numbers and figures in the report, like you'll see. I can tell you that animals and animal services is more than about numbers. Being on the commission for the past few years has been a real eye-opener for me. While BCAS has accomplished many really good things, our commission has collectively discovered evidence of new and serious problems. Recently, the Baltimore County Police Department, as you've already heard, has been forced to take over many animal control issues. It has weakened animal control and our ability to respond to problems in our communities. This is not the fault of the police department, believe me. I call this passing the buck. I have become personally involved in this recently in a related kind of issue. A friend's 10-year-old son is terrified to go outside now at this point because a neighborhood dog has menaced him 3 times and actually attacked him once, requiring treatment for a serious bite wound. 911 was called, and the police simply told the owner to put up a fence. The owner's response was, "I just can't afford it." End of story. The situation really should have been turned over to animal control, but it wasn't. Animal control officers should be trained to handle situations like this and require the steps to be taken to ensure that neighbors remain safe from aggressive dogs, instead of, like I say, just passing it off to BCPD. But our animal control officers are no longer trained, as you've already heard, and our animal control division has been decimated. So you got to ask yourself, is this really the tip of the iceberg? What else do we have to wait for? What kind of animal bites and wounds we have to worry about next that's going to cause our county to be sued or lawsuits or that kind of thing? So anyway, if you haven't read the report, please take time to do that. At the old Dr. White's Eastern Animal Hospital up on Eastern Avenue, he's in a little trailer. He had a plaque on his wall, and I always remember what it said. The 5 things animals should enjoy are freedom from hunger and thirst, discomfort, pain and injury, fear and distress, and the freedom to express their normal behavior. Thanks for listening to me, and hope you get a chance to read the report.
Roy,
Thank you very much, Mr.
Roy,
Plummer.
thank you for your over here. Thank you for your service on the commission. And as I read through the report, it is disturbing and it is concerning that it seems like we made one step forward a couple of years ago, and now we're taking 2 or 3 steps back, and it does deserve some inquiry. So thank you, Roy.
Thank you. Ms. Bailey? And Ms. Stone, would you make your way close, please?
Good evening, Chairman Jones and council members. My name is Mary Ann Bailey. I've lived in Baltimore County for all but 2 years of my life. I'm honored to be a member of the Baltimore County Animal Services Advisory Commission, serving the animals and citizens of our great county. Councilman Quirk appointed me as a resident in the 1st District to the commission in March of 2017, so I've been serving in that capacity for about a year and a half. I'm grateful to Councilman Quirk for entrusting me, an animal lover and advocate, in this role that is very near and dear to my heart, because its purpose is to advise the council and the county executive on how best to protect and help animals and the people who interact with animals in our community. As a public health professional, I also care about protecting the public's health. The health and welfare of animals and the public's health are not mutually exclusive. There are many points in our community where the health of animals and the public's health intersect. I know this council can be a great friend to animals, as evidenced by the passing of Oscar's Law earlier this year. And right now, animals in Baltimore County need your help. When I attended the commission's meeting this past June 19th, I was heartened to hear that some of the officers from the Baltimore County Police Department's newly formed Animal Abuse Unit, or team, about their mandate to investigate cases of suspected animal neglect, cruelty, and abuse. Also at that meeting were County Administrative Officer Fred Homan and Animal Services Management Analyst Gary Klunk. Neither of them made any mention of the impending transfer of most of Animal Control's duties to the Baltimore County Police Department. Why would they not provide the Commission with this information? Why has there been no announcement or information about this provided to Baltimore County residents? Did they obtain input from stakeholders before making this decision? What were the reasons for the decision? The Commission still has not been provided answers to these basic questions. This lack of transparency is very concerning for the welfare of animals and people, including our police officers who are not serving on the animal abuse team, and they've had no training whatsoever on how to deal with these types of calls. This is assuming that they can even respond to these calls, given the order of their priorities. My ask for you is to please read the Commission's report if you haven't already, and most importantly, act as soon as possible on the recommendations that were made. This is quite simply the best way right now that you can protect animals and the health of the people who are interacting with them in Baltimore County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
If I could also echo Councilman Crandall's comments too, and Marianne, thank you for your dedication, your work. I see Darla in the back as well, and all the Animal Commission members, you know, whether past or present, and obviously you have a lot of passion and dedication to helping animal welfare, and lots of time invested, so we definitely do appreciate your comments, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Quirk. Ms. Deborah Stonehess.
Mr. Chairman? if I may?
Yes.
While Ms. Stone is coming up, I just want to say thank you so much for your service to Baltimore County. You've done an amazing job as chair of this commission, and to all of the members of the commission, this is a very, very important one. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you, and for the time and the effort that you've put into this, and for your report, and for your recommendations, and I assure you that we will be looking at them very closely. But I am very appreciative for everything that you all have done, and Deborah, especially to you for chairing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you
Good
for the
evening.
opportunity to speak. I'm sorry?
No, say good
Oh, I
evening.
thought you said something. Sorry. I'm Deborah Stone-Hess. I was appointed to the Baltimore County Animal Services Advisory Commission by Vicki Almond. I've served as chair since our first meeting in 2015. I remain so appreciative to you for creating our commission. You saw the need for a group of volunteer citizens to advise you on what was going right and what needed improvement at BCAS. We happily reported steady progress at BCAS in our first 2 annual reports. Now we're in a very different position. We don't want to be in it, but this is where we find ourselves. After Oscar died, we spent over 8 months looking deeply into procedures and policies at BCAS and found many disturbing things. It appears BCAS management has become so numbers-focused, both on live release numbers and TNR numbers, that it is going down a path leading away from real animal welfare. A couple of years ago, BCAS management began reducing training for its animal control division. We believe this lack of training, which was not the fault of the animal control officers themselves, contributed to Oscar's death. We have extensive evidence that for 2 years, administrators forbade animal control officers from performing one of their most vital tasks, investigating cases of cruelty, abuse, and neglect. Thankfully, now we have an animal abuse team in our Baltimore County Police Department to handle these investigations. But this past July, BCAS took an unheard of step. Overnight, it transferred almost all animal control duties to the Baltimore County Police. The police received no training for these potentially dangerous and difficult situations. I don't think anyone, even you, were aware of this. Animal control as we knew it and as our county needs it is gone. As you've heard tonight, this is creating dangerous problems for citizens. On other fronts, BCAS is not utilizing best practices in trap, neuter, return, or TNR. There are also serious questions about salaries paid with taxpayer dollars to those in high positions at BCAS. And present and former BCAS employees describe a toxic work environment where they fear being fired or transferred to other county jobs, and that has happened to many. But once the truth is on paper, it cannot be intimidated. I spent 20 years as a reporter. My job was to present facts. That is what we've done in our report. We don't diminish what BCAS has accomplished, and we still believe there are many dedicated and caring people working there. I know each of you to be an honorable person who wants to do the right thing for this county. The right thing is to launch a complete and independent investigation and audit of BCAS, I'll wrap up, sorry, while protecting the jobs of all of those who come forward. Let's get to the bottom of it, and let's fix it.
Councilman Marks, Mr. Onway.
Thank you. Deborah, thank you for your hard work. My appointee, Joy Freeman, Julian Zimmer, and Darla Ferry, we've talked a lot about a lot of these issues. So there's a new administration in 9 weeks, roughly. What are the 3 key recommendations you would give the new administration?
Well, first of all, we need an animal control division. I would say that would be number 1. A well-trained animal control division. That's what we need. And the second thing is we need a complete investigation and audit to look into the things that we say in our report.
Mr. Chairman.
That was 2.
There's 2.
Oh, sorry. I thought that
Number
was
3.
3, the
Number 3.
investigation and the audit. So with it, those were 2. The next thing is I think that it's very important for members of this commission and our community to be heard about these issues.
Thank you.
And to do whatever we can to improve training.
I'm
obviously.
sorry?
Improve training wherever possible. Right.
Well, obviously, I believe that for the last 2 years, they have gradually chipped away at the Animal Control Division and reduced and reduced and reduced training and reduced and reduced and reduced its obligations. Several months ago, they began to cross-train animal control officers with people who work in the shelter, and everyone is now called an animal service officer. But we need an animal control division that takes care of problems in our community, because there are people who literally, if you have a dangerous dog on your street and you're worried about your pets or your children or yourself, you can't get anyone to respond. And this is a serious, serious problem.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bevins?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Stone, thank you. This picture that has been circulated, I saw it at a meeting that we had with the county executive, and I saw it all over Facebook this weekend. It's a very disturbing picture to me, to think that an animal will starve to death like that. And in your notes here, you say that the animal control officers wanted to investigate but were forbidden to do so. Would you like to explain what you mean by that?
Well, that dog was, the owner of that dog contacted Baltimore County Animal Services, which offers a service to those who have animals that die. They will pick up the animal apparently and dispose of it, and I'm told that that dog was one of those dogs. And it was brought into BCAS, and the people who saw it said, this is terrible and alarming, and we need to look into what happened to this animal. And what I was told is that the chief veterinarian looked at it and said that they didn't believe that there was any problem there and no abuse, and that as a result, nothing was allowed to go forward.
It's horrific.
There were numerous, we heard of numerous situations where there were animals that that appeared to be victims of abuse and neglect and warranted investigation, and animal control officers, one was told that they didn't need wannabe cops.
Thank you, Ms. Stone.
Yes, Councilman
Thank you very much. I want to thank you for all that you've done over the years for the animal control and for the welfare animals in the council. And I enjoyed our trips to various animal shelters
That was a
around.
while ago.
We learned a lot. I would hope that the liaison committee and the administration will be able to get together ASAP, because, you know, I know we're getting a new administration in 9 weeks, but nevertheless, this can't continue to go on. I think we need to take action and do this.
Thank you very much.
It was 6 years ago, I had a group come to me in Annapolis regarding community cats, feral cats. And very concerned about, at the time, at the county's policy, which was if you are a county resident and you call up and say there's a feral community near me, I don't want it there, well, they would go take the animals and put them all down. And I was very upset over that policy. I talked with Dr. Branch, who was a major proponent of that policy. So I was very happy when the Lake County executive, apparently his father-in-law encouraged him to initiate the TNR program.
That's right.
And so I was very happy that our policy had changed in regard to community cats. And now I read this report, and I think the thing that, well, it's depressing, to say
We
the
want a
least.
TNR program. A
Yeah.
TNR program is a wonderful thing.
Yes, it is.
just needs to be done right. It
Right,
needs to
yeah.
follow best practices, and it needs to be concerned with the welfare of those
Yes.
cats, as well as just getting them spayed or neutered and vaccinated.
And to, and people know that if you're going to return a feral cat to the community, I mean, you can't drop the cat off anywhere and expect that cat to be able to find the community. I actually have spoken to someone who witnessed a situation where the poor animal didn't want to get out of the cage. And so what they did is they ejected the animal from the cage, and who knows what
A cat
happens.
that is comfortable in its surroundings will take off out of
Will
the
take
cage
off,
generally.
So I'm hoping in your discussions with the administration as a member of the liaison committee that we can get some of these things resolved now. Some of them are long-term, the training of the police, et cetera, if indeed it belongs with the police. So I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Marks?
Quick question, Mr. Field, I'm going to ask you this. So one of the bullets down here, victims must provide a signed notarized affidavit before BCAS will investigate an animal attack. No other county does this, as it discourages reporting, delays investigation. Could you maybe talk about this? I know you have expertise.
Well, it's not actually true. The affidavits, the purpose for the affidavits is really for when someone is going to be brought before the Animal Hearing Board up on charges. I think I've mentioned to the council before that, in my opinion, the hardest working board in the county is actually the Animal Hearing Board. They meet twice a month, starting at 9:30. They often finish late in the afternoon. A typical docket has about 5 cases on it. They can range from at-large to menacing animal to public nuisance animal. If they have a dangerous dog situation, they have to schedule that specially late in the afternoon or in the afternoon after lunch. They work a very long day, so it's not entirely clear to me where all this talk about no enforcement is coming from, because I'm still sending a lawyer down there twice a month to handle these cases and to go to the Board of Appeals. So what happens with the import of the affidavits is this. For most of the offenses that occur, there isn't actually someone from animal control seeing the offense, right? What happens is we'll hear from somebody who'll say there was a dog that came off its yard and it barked at me and it scared me. They do send somebody out there to look into the case, and it's at that point that they hand out the affidavit to the complainant. Because what happens is, if they're going to fight, what they want is they want someone who's going to put their name behind this, because these complaints come with monetary fines, and sometimes even worse. And so typically, and they don't always do this for the dangerous dog ones, but for the lower ones, for menacing, for public nuisance, for at-large, for sometimes the cruelty ones are handled a little bit differently. But if they're going to bring somebody, if they're going to charge somebody with some violations, and see what happens is that the affidavit then comes in and Animal Services looks at it and they'll figure out whether or not there's also a licensed dog at the property. And if they determine that there's no licensed dog at the property, at that point they'll issue a violation against the owner, which will often include failure to license the dog. And then based on the statement in the affidavit, which they read, they kind of figure out what the violation is from that. And based on that, that's when they issue the violation against the owner. And what they're asking for notarization, signed notarization, because it's a serious thing that's happening here, right? They're issuing a violation against the owner, and the owner has to come in and then defend themselves. They got to take a day off from work sometimes, or a morning off from work. Sometimes we have children come in. They bring them over from school, bring them in from school. So it's a serious thing. That's what the affidavit does, to make sure that before we haul somebody in on a weekday, before the Animal Hearing Board, the person who issues the complaint is doing something serious about it. But that doesn't stop them. The affidavit isn't required to go out there initially to find out what's going on. So it's not correct to say that they won't look into an issue if there isn't an affidavit. What they won't do in many circumstances, because they haven't witnessed the animal at large, they haven't witnessed the dog menacing the person, is they won't necessarily issue a citation with a fine. And remember, the fines can be pretty steep unless they get the affidavit. So that's what's important about the affidavit. And it's happening, again, because we know the Animal Hearing Board is meeting twice a month. The docket's usually 5 cases per. I think usually they're about a month or 2 out because they have enough on their docket. And then, like I said, if there's a dangerous dog on top of it, they schedule it for the afternoon. So that's a very busy board. And again, I would encourage everybody to go watch them. That's also a bunch of volunteer citizens who've tried some very trying cases. I mean, you've heard from me talk about it. I was counsel to the Animal Hearing Board for 5 years before I became county attorney. They are difficult and wrenching cases, and so it's not.
May I address this issue?
Yes.
She addressed it.
I'm done.
I give you
May I address
Mike,
this
thank
issue?
real fast. Go right.
I'd like to say that what you're saying, Mr. Field, with all due respect, is not accurate. That we have a specific case where I can give you photos of evidence where a woman was walking her dog in her neighborhood. A Great Dane got loose from its yard, its fence, came and attacked her dog viciously, quite viciously, caused severe damage requiring stitches in the dog and also a drain in one of its wounds, also bit the woman. Yes, it is true that the animal control officer, when she called animal control, came to her house and handed her the affidavit, said you need to sign this and have it notarized before we can begin an investigation. She went and got it notarized that day and overnighted it to BCAS. The next day, an animal control officer came back to her and said, you need to get a notarization on the second page because you went to a second page, and you need also a notary signing on that, a seal there. And then she did that, and then at that point, they began supposedly to investigate, and that was when the investigation begins. An investigation does not begin until the affidavit is received, signed, and notarized. They will come to your door. They'll hand you a notarized affidavit, but no investigation will begin until you provide it. And we were told by leaders of animal control divisions in other jurisdictions that we would never do that. It would discourage reporting. It would delay investigation. Many people don't have money or transportation to go to a notary. And it also, many people are intimidated by the owner of the attacking dog and don't want to put their name out there with a notarized affidavit.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Field.
Thank you.
Ms. Stone, I was just going to say that I think we have I don't want to just into it here or there. You're speaking from 5 years' experience and what should happen or what does happen. You're speaking to one particular case.
And
No, I'm speaking to many different cases that we have spoken to residents and what they have experienced. I'm only telling you about one case.
And I'm speaking
Thank you
from
very
20
much.
years of experience in county government, where for every story that I hear, when we look into it, usually the story is very different. So, we'll suss through this at some point, but I've been around a long time.
Thank you very
believe I
much.
could say that I have as well.
Mr. Stuart Stainman. Thank you very much, Ms. Deborah Stone. Mr. Stewart, come right up, please. And the next person would be Robert Stanhope.
Council members, my name is Stuart Stainman. Thank you for the opportunity for speaking. I want to talk about the bill that just passed, 6718, Regulation of Park Activities. I realize that my comments would have been better stated at your work session rather than after the bill was passed, but I still wanted to go on record. There's another issue besides just the physical damage to trees that was done in Oregon Ridge Park. I hike in Oregon Ridge on a regular basis. I hike at Oregon Ridge, Lake Roland Park weekly. When I hike, I like to commune with nature. I like to enjoy trees, vegetation, the vistas, natural views. I don't want to see brightly colored paint on tree trunks right off a major trail. The current Oregon Ridge paint project, I realize it's there. Everybody says it's a mistake. It is not only damaging to the trees, but it is obtrusive. It is visual pollution. It is visible from a very popularly used trail. In the future, I would hope that proposed projects like that should be reviewed not only by DEPS, but also by the Park Citizen Advisory Council. And I bring this up because the same issue a similar issue exists in Lake Roland Park. Along a major trail at Lake Roland Park, there are wood and metal artwork very visible from the trail, hanging from trees. Some of the wood artwork is not that obtrusive. It blends in a little bit, but it's still very noticeable. The metal artwork does not. Again, when I go hiking in our county parks, I want to commune with nature. I want to see natural vegetation. I don't want to see human artwork. Again, I would hope that in the future that I feel that my views would be best represented if the local Park Citizen Advisory Committee was consulted before these projects were installed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stainman. Mr. Robert Stanhope. And the next person would be Bob Swinson. Okay, you're close enough. Good. Good afternoon, sir.
I was hired in 1980 to spend 30 years adding nature centers to county parks, starting with Oregon Ridge Nature Center. And one of my favorite joys was working with talented volunteers to fundraise for the programs and exhibits, just as all the recreation councils had nonprofit organizations called rec councils that put the sports into our county parks through programs, education, coaches, you name it. Every exhibit that you see in the building and on the major nature trail loop was paid for by volunteers that raised the money. The nature trail loop that's currently been desecrated was paved for the use of wheelchairs and strollers as a handicapped loop and had 4 major exhibits, each one costing thousands of dollars. It was carefully planned with an artist sculptured out of wood, and it describes where we get our water, our wood, our iron ore, and our marble. And on top of this, without any announcement, I find 62 trees painted with county approval in the worst case of graffiti I have ever seen. I felt that my 30 years were wasted. The Nature Center Council found out that, 25 years ago, there were 200 acres available for sale that the Merrimans were selling that included the top of Oregon Ridge Park, and they formed another group called Save the Ridge. They raised $600,000, and they saved 200 acres of forest with the help of the county and the state chipping in to get this acreage. That, to me, is what the Nature Center Council should do, rather than see this surprise of graffiti with this colorful paint that lasts 20 years before the trees die or the mold and the mildew and the lichens grow over it. You'll be hearing from me to review with this new bill my proposal to remove the painted trees, the same company that took out the dead oak trees after gypsy moths killed them, and replanted a young forest. That was 15 years ago, and now it looks like a good forest. And that's what I hope the nature trail will look like soon. So you'll be hearing from me, and I'm glad this bill is there. It could have stopped things like using Recreation and Parks money to chop down 80 mature oak trees on the fire station here in Towson, or the proposal to put in the middle of the agricultural center a truck repair, county truck repair yard, where it's supposed to be education about farm and support for farming. A very important bill. I'm glad it squeaked through, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I'm just curious, sir, just so I understand, you said you're going to make a proposal to, what, remove the trees or remove the paint?
The trees.
The same company that took out dead oaks can take out painted trees, and the rule is when you cut a tree, you plant 2 more. And you'll have a forest in 15 years, you never know the painted trees were there. And you want to look at them.
So I'm just curious, one more thing, because I did some research online, so I know that doesn't count for your experience, but they came up with a couple of solutions in terms of removing the paint and said it would not kill it. One that comes to mind was using some type of orange extract that would be non-biodegradable, and that is. So we should just cut them down and replant others. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bob Swenson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. My name is Bob Swenson. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Here's actually a bigger picture of that dog. And if you can see it, it's a horrible torture. That should never happen. I'm an animal advocate, adopter, foster, and a volunteer trapper, which means that if a dog gets lost or astray, I have tools to help find them and catch them and bring them back to their owners. I'm also involved in the global dog meat trade, which is more torture of animals, where I guess people just don't value lives. I've surrendered several dogs to Baltimore County Animal Services after I've caught them, because it's the law in Baltimore County that all strays go to BCES for a 3-day stray hold so that their owners might find them. I have strong concerns that if I catch a dog that has no owner, that dog may be put down for possibly unnecessary reasons, and I would feel the pain and guilt of that death. I've read the annual report of Baltimore County Animal Services Advisory Commission. I'm actually honored to work with Deborah Stone-Hess and others of the commission from the dog world. I'm very concerned, especially with the previous issues at BCS. The Animal Commission has been the voice for the community when it comes to animal services, and we thought everything was going well. When Oscar died an unnecessary, horrible, and painful death, and before a police report was complete, Baltimore County put out a statement that the dog died of natural causes, but we know that Oscar froze to death. This was a sign that things are not right with BCAS. Some of this you've probably heard from some of the other people here, but I can't imagine why it's forbidden for the animal control officers to investigate cases of neglect and cruelty. I had a neighbor who actually had to sign an affidavit before anything would be done, and now she was kind of harassed by their lawyers of a cease and desist. I love the police. I support them. I think they're wonderful, but they should not be burdened with this. It's not their wheelhouse. It should be animal control, and we need a strong animal control. On top of that, when they've delegated and dumped their responsibilities on the police, they pay their manager salaries more? Really? I don't get that. We do appreciate the good people that work there and some of the improvements, but this is a call to action. There are significant problems that must be addressed, not just minor issues. I hope that our county will take some action, investigate what's going on, and make necessary changes. We need to ask for accountability and transparency in our elected leaders and in the county animal services. And we don't believe that they're just a dog or a cat. These are helpless, vulnerable animals that we are supposed to protect, just like our children. We have a responsibility that we must fulfill.
Bring comments to an end, sir.
Thank you, sir. As some of the council members have said, the way we treat our animals is how we treat our people. Known studies that if you abuse an animal, you'll most likely abuse a person or a child. And Gandhi said the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And that goes for a county. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, sir. I have a question for you, Mr. Swenson. We heard an awful lot today about Oscar. Do you know that do you know how old Oscar was?
Yes, he was older, but he died by being frozen to death.
105 years old, our age, or 15 years old?
I know people who have dogs who have lived 18, 20 years, sir.
Okay, so do you know he had a working dog door, so he could have went in and out on his own?
The medical examiner said that he froze to death. The owners were gone.
A 105-year-old person goes outside and falls or can't get back in, they'll freeze to death.
Baltimore County Animal Services has been called multiple times to that house. They just didn't want to do anything.
Okay.
They did not want to go out in the cold and help this poor animal that froze to death, which is a horrible way to die.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo. Nina McFadden. How you doing, Ms. McFadden?
Hi, my name is Nina McFadden. I live in Baltimore County. Julianne Jones is my council representative. I'm coping with a terrible problem because animal control won't respond to an urgent situation. I have an elderly neighbor that went to the VA hospital and rehab for an extended period of time. He asked me to care for his cats. I subsequently learned that he had 16. When I went into his home, I found horrific hoarding situation. The house was filthy and filled with feces and urine from top to bottom. I did the logical thing. I called animal control. They told me I had to bring the cats to them. When I said I can't because there are 16 of them, they told me to call 911. This was outlandish. They weren't my cats, they belonged to my neighbors, and they were in a situation where they would die without food or water. I felt responsible. I began caring for them and trying to clean his home. I needed to wear a hazmat suit and a mask. Finally, I got help from Baltimore County Police, who then requested BCAS, but BCAS refused to help. Finally, BCAS did come to the home, but refused to enter and would not trap the cats. Members of the police animal abuse team managed to catch some of them, and BCAS transported them to the shelter. But I have been trying to trap the rest. I have driven to Baldwin Shelter 3 times to take the cats to the shelter. As a result of being in the home, I got bronchitis, which came from the fumes that were in the house. I also now unknowingly have taken fleas from his house into my house, where I have a 7-month-old puppy and 2 11-year-old cats, and I'm struggling to get rid of them. BCAS comes under our county health department. Does anyone care about my health? This is a nightmare. I don't understand why Baltimore County Animal Control would not respond to this situation. I want to continue to help. I don't want the cats to die, but I am so stressed out, and I'm not sure if I can continue. If BCAS stands for Baltimore County Animal Services, what services have they offered me? Thank you so much.
Ms. McFadden, I'm sorry you had to endure such a hard time, and I'm sorry it would appear as though we did not perform our best in terms of helping you and your neighbor. We'll certainly follow up with this and see what's going on with it and see how we can help you. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair. Yes. Nick, in the back of the room, is the liaison between the administration and the council. And if you would please do what you can to facilitate a meeting between the liaison committee and animal control, so that we can get this off the ground, so we can resolve some of these issues now. Does the county executive know about all this, sir?
We had a meeting.
Right. If you would, yeah, if you, good, okay. If you would please ask him if he could facilitate meeting. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Ms. McFadden, why did they give you a reason why they would not get the cats?
Because that's not their job. I'm trying to get into heaven. I have no reason to lie. They told me that was not their job. They told me that was not their job. I said, so if it's not your job and it's a hoarding situation, whose job is it?
Is it not their job, Mr. Fields, because it's private property, or do we know anything about this case?
No, I don't know the exact story. I mean, the obvious difficulty is there are circumstances, I got a call the other day. I think the story was fairly similar, where Mr. Klunk called me and he said, the owner will sign something and say I can go into the property and take the animals. Is that enough for me? And I said, yeah, go ahead, if you want to do that. So I don't know this particular story, but they will and they can, under certain circumstances, go in there. There's obvious Fourth Amendment issues. There are exigencies when there's a health issue. But again, I don't know the story here. But the other problem with it is, we're not, and again, without knowing the whole story, we're not, sometimes when I go away, I board my cat. Costs me a lot of money. And so we're not necessarily that. So, again, without knowing the whole story, there's going to be some kind of border between what's a typical enforcement action and what's just kind of boarding in the way that I do, when I have to. And I just don't know the story. So,
Well,
I'm afraid to say, I don't want to say too much about it.
Understand.
But it's also a difficult situation in terms of breaking into properties. Clearly, when a property owner says, I'm not here, go in there, and I said the other day, like I said to Mr. Klunk, go ahead and do it, and I assume that we're sitting on those animals, but I don't know the story.
Mr.
I didn't get any
Thank-
calls about this one.
Councilwoman Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Field.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just wondering, is it because she wasn't the owner, although she called and invited them in? Do you think it was because she wasn't the owner to surrender the animals? But then again, it sounds like the animals were living in horrific circumstances, and I would think that that would be a concern for
Right,
animal
again,
services.
I don't know, I've never heard the story before, so.
Okay.
Everybody, please be respectful, please. Yes, ma'am.
So my neighbor ended up having 3 blood clots in his leg, so he could have died. I was taking care of the cats, and when they started talking about, needing forms, I drove to the hospital, got him to sign the form. I videotaped him, made sure to ask him questions like, "Are you being held in contempt? Am I abusing you to sign this form?" And I put it all on video so that I had the paperwork ready for animal control. Animal control said, "Call 911."
Okay.
Well, again, I don't know if this is the same story, but just this
It
week.
probably is.
Right, just this week I guess it was last week, I spoke to Mr. Klunk, and he told me that he had permission to go in and take the animals from the owner, and I said, fine,
'Cause I
go
had the
ahead.
key.
So, right, but I'm just saying that, again, without knowing all the details, I did just tell Mr. Klunk it was fine to go in once he secured permission.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. McFadden.
Oh, I do apologize. This started August 7th.
Okay.
There are still 3 cats in the house. I have been trying everything. For those who want to try to trap cats, Royal Farms Chicken works wonders. These cats just so happen to want to stay in the ceiling in the basement, and I don't have one of those long pole things. But as far as getting those 3 trips up the shelter, that Royal Farms Chicken worked wonders.
Thank you very much for the tip.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. Ms. Lisa Radovo? Radoff.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Baltimore County Council. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you tonight. I know it's late. I'll keep my remarks brief. My name is Lisa Radov. I'm a Baltimore County resident and the president and chairman of Maryland Votes for Animals. Maryland Votes for Animals works with lawmakers, animal professionals, and animal advocates to pass legislation that will improve the lives of animals in Maryland. Because we represent the entire state of Maryland, I attend all meetings of the Professional Animal Workers of Maryland, PAWS, an organization that is comprised of the directors of animal control services and rescues from each county in the state of Maryland. Therefore, I am familiar with animal control and related services as they are discussed routinely at these meetings. I am testifying here tonight because what I have read in the 3rd annual report of the Baltimore County Animal Services Commission stands in contrast to some of these best practices. I know you've heard a lot tonight, so I won't go through them, but I have shared and discussed this report with many of the state delegates and senators from our Baltimore County delegation, and I must say, they were surprised and disturbed. I encouraged them to share this report with their constituents, some of whom have testified and are in attendance today. Many of these advocates, as well as members of the commission, come down to Annapolis regularly to testify on animal legislation sponsored by these very same state delegates and senators. These legislators have asked me to keep them informed about what is going to be done about this situation. Today is October 1st. Many new laws are going in effect in Maryland, including 2 to protect animals. One of those laws prevents convicted animal abusers from owning or residing with animals for a specified period of time if they have committed abuse. However, this law could be compromised if there are problems in Baltimore County with animal control and if victims have barriers to entry reporting animal abuse. Baltimore County can and should employ the same best practices that are being implemented successfully in many other Maryland counties, including our neighboring counties. We have a responsibility to protect our 2- and 4-legged residents of Baltimore County. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your resolutions to these problems.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any questions, comments? Yes, Councilwoman Bev.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to acknowledge Janice Vincent, who is my representative. I know how much she enjoys. Sometimes it's heart-wrenching for you, I know, but I know how much you enjoy serving on the commission, and everyone that serves on the commission, everybody that came out tonight.
Yes.
Are all the county council appointees here?
No.
Dr. Cressy? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm missing a few. Let me just take this opportunity to thank everybody for testifying tonight. We certainly appreciate you taking the time to come and share your comments, concerns, and horror stories with us. And we will certainly take it all into consideration.
Mr. Chairman?
As we move forward. Yes, sir. Mr. Holman.
Might I take a moment to address the council?
Please, it will be welcome, sir.
I have read the report, but I don't believe that it would make a whole lot of sense for me to go through any list of disagreements with that. What I would like to request that the council do, because I would also support an independent review, and I would like the county auditor's office to do that, and I would request that you ask the auditor to do that. They have the budgetary background. They went through the budget this year. They saw the creation of the Animal Abuse Unit. They have the code and charter background to do it. They can take the time to meet with Dr. Jones and her key staff. They can meet with Captain Cortez and his key staff, as you heard. They could gain information that they don't already have from the county attorney. I think it would be a good exercise for the auditor's office. I mean, they assign auditors through the budget process to individual departments. I would request that you do that. We will make the staff time available, obviously. For Animal Services, the police department. The county attorney is obviously open to answering any questions and talking about the hearing board. We have a representation. We have to have representation at the Animal Welfare Hearing Board meetings. Right, that's one of Animal Services' functions. So there's lots to learn and lots to see and to be able to comment.
Well, we certainly appreciate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and then the individual circumstances. For instance, I don't know the details that Ms. McFadden was addressing, but Councilman Quirk knows. We went at his request to a house in his neighborhood, and we TNR'd the cats and returned them. I mean, we do that. Now, I don't know what this particular circumstance was, but I think it would be very helpful for the county auditor staff to be able to find out exactly how we do address these particular situations.
Well, we will certainly take it under advisement, and we'll discuss it with you further in terms of the scope of such an investigation or such an audit, and find out, if we can do it, or if we're the best persons to do it, or whether the auditor's office is the best person to do it. I don't know, but I guess we'll talk some more with you about it. Any additional comments or concerns? Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Have yourself a safe trip home. Meeting is adjourned. What would the auditor's office do?
They have to do performance audit.
What would the auditor's office do?
Performance audit.
But what would that do?